so nice to meet you. I've just gone to the store. Yesterday I sold some books and got a little money. Oh, I don't imagine it. I use some of my money's earning buying books, selling books by buying this. There's only 10 in them. So cute, adorable. I was going to buy paint when my sister says our home has plenty of paint, even more than those. So I agreed only to buy it. So it only cost 10. But if I bought the paint, I'll cost 35. That's a what a cost. I love this donut. My sister bought a mushroom. It's quite cute. But my donut might be bigger. Of course. Cute. The Magic Tree House Tracker of the Horse Heroes. Let's see here. Yeah. I'm reading this about Chapter 3, The History of Horses. Since 1994, scientists have been studying an ancient site in Kazakhstan, a country border of China and Russia. The site called Krasny Yar had been a small village where Botai people lived thousands of years ago. A Botai hunted wild horses for food. Large herds grazed on the scrubby grasses covering the land and thrived in the cold, thin air. As the team carefully sifted through the dirt, they found pieces of pottery and thousands of horses' bones and teeth that date back over 5,500 years. When they tested the pottery, there were traces of fat and mare's milk on it. This was a proof of the Botai milk course and that mare's milk was part of the diet. The horses' teeth showed there where from bits have been in their mouths. The bits mean the Botai might have used horses for pulling loads or riding. The Botai find was exciting. No one knew for sure when people began taming horses. The Botai may have been the very first breeding horse. By 4,000 years ago, people all over Asia and Europe had horses. They started to breed horses to do different things. Some horses became lighter and faster, others became stronger and larger. Certain jobs were for the fast horses that were easy to ride. These horses carried messengers or were race horses. Soldiers needed powerful war horses. They had to be strong enough to pull chariots or carry knights in heavy armor into battle. Farmers needed slow, steady horses with powerful shoulders to pull sloughs and farm wagons. Arabans are among the oldest breeds. Thousands of years ago, tribes in the Middle East wanted light, fast horses to take on raids or into battle. Arabian horses are still popular today, and the finest race horses were Arabian blood. Horses are measured in hands. No. In the time of knights and castles, knights rode a type of war horse called the destrier. Destrier weighed twice as much as other horses. They were extra strength to carry knights wearing heavy armor into battle. Farmers wanted large horses for farm work. Many of the biggest horses today come from hundreds of years carefully breeding. The largest, tallest, and strongest workhorse in the shear horse. The English have been breeding shears for over 800 years. They can weigh more than 2,200 pounds and be over 20 hands high. Among the fattest horses today are thoroughbreds. Thoroughbreds are relatives of Arabians. The English began breeding them for racing in the 16,000s. They are still racing today. These tall light horses usually reach speeds of about 40 miles an hour. There are millions of thoroughbreds all over the world. Naughty is a huge Today there are about 300 different breeds of horses. Horses change people, but people change horses as well. Mustangs and the Native Americans. Spanish explorers brought horses to Americas in the 14th and 15th. Some escaped and ran wild. By the late 16,000s, herds of Spanish horses galloped across the American West. These wild horses are called Mustangs. Many still exist. Some Native American tribes began capturing and taming horses. The Comanche, the Shoshone, the Nez Perce were fantastic bareback riders. The Nez were also great horse breeders. Native Americans hunted buffalo and went into battle against other tribes on horseback. They could shoot arrows quickly while riding at a gallop. Some tribes measured their wealth by horses. Horse dealing was common. It became a way young warriors to prove it was a man. Horses were so prized that many tribes had special ceremonies to honor its spirits. Today, many Native Americans still own horses, and many were still great riders. Chapter 4: Horses Delivered. Imagine 2 or 3 thousand years ago, people lived in remote villages or on lonely farms. There were no phones, computers, or postal service. Since there were no cars, there weren't even many roads. News from the outside world would take months or years to reach them. Kings often ruled over vast lands. It took a very long time for them to let the people know things about like new taxes or wars. The use of horse to deliver information helped join people together. It also helped rulers to govern better. They began building roads that connected towns and villages. Covered instead riders called couriers to deliver official news from the one place to another. People also hired couriers to take letters to their friends and relatives. The world began to open up, and we owe much of it to horses. The royal road. Darius, the king of Persia, ruled over 2,000 years ago. He built the royal road, which ran through much of his kingdom. The road was about 1,677 miles long and went from what is now Turkey to Iraq. The Persians were among the first to breed horses for speed and strength. Darius set up a system of couriers to deliver mail on horseback. He built over 100 stations along the royal road. Mothers stopped at them to pick up mail and fresh horses. It took them about 7 days to cover the whole route. It was taken over 90 days on foot. The ancient Greek writer Herodotus wrote that nothing, neither snow nor rain, nor heat or nor dark of night, could stop these brave couriers and their horses. The United States Postal Service used this as a motto today. The cursus publicus. The ancient Roman Empire covered thousands of miles. Roman rulers needed fast couriers on horseback to carry messages from Rome to distant parts of the empire. Like King Darius, the Romans began building roads. Over time, their roads covered about 50,000 miles. Remains of these roads still exist today. A system set up by the Romans over 1,200 years ago was called the cursus publicus, or the public road. They had stations and forts all along the way. Riders with government messages covered about 50 miles a day. People could tell a Roman courier by his unqueed letter that had the code of Petanus. Important officials carried messages in their special horse-drawn wagons. Alas, it was possible for ordinary Romans to find out urgent news. They also hired private messengers to send letters to family and friends. Some of the Roman letters from 1,000 years ago still exist. They sound like letters and emails today. There are some from soldiers and families telling them they were asking well for new socks. Sorry. The mail goes on. The world used horses to carry mail. More than 800 years ago, the Chinese had thousands of miles of roads. They also had great mail service. There were over 25,000 relay stations just to handle the mail. Think how many horses that took. 110,000 to late 18,000, thousands of couriers and horses galloped along the roads throughout Spain, Germany, Australia, Italy, and Hungary. Pony Express. Until 1860, most mail in the United States went by stagecoaches pulled by teams of strong horses. It took months for mail in the United States to get from the West Coast to the East Coast by wagons and boat. It didn't travel that far, and telegraph line didn't reach from coast to coast. Problem: why do they have to use horses? Some businessmen set up a system to deliver mail from Mississippi to California in less than 40 days. They built stations every 10 to 15 miles. They also bought 400 horses known for speed and endurance, including Mustangs throughout breeds. They hired 80 young riders, many were teenagers. The Tea Horse Road. Tea Horse Road was actually a road, a series of paths covering almost 1,400 miles from China to Tibet. Beginning 1,000 years ago, men, women, and wolves hauled millions of pounds of tea from China to trade for Tibetan horses. The trails were very dangerous. The workers faced raging rivers, steep valleys, rain, snow, mountains past 50,000 feet high. Some carried loads over 300 pounds on their backs. When they got to Tibet, the tea was traded for horses. The Tibetans breed strong, fine horses. The Chinese need them to fight off horses or nomad raiders. For certain, that as many as 1,000 horses a year arrived from China to Tibet. The trade in horses continued until the end of the 1800s. When the Chinese traded tea for goods like gold, medicine, silver, and cloth. Traffic on the trails didn't stop in 1949. So much of the trail has disappeared and is covered by wheat or concrete highways. Chapter 5 War Horses. Men and horses began fighting together about 5,000 years ago. The type of war horse soldiers used depend on what jobs needed to be done. Some horses pulled heavy supply wagons or war chariots. All were strong and fast so that soldiers could fight on horseback and move around the battlefield easily. The first war horse pulled chariots. The ancient Greeks, Roman, Indians, Chinese, Arabs, and Egyptians all used chariots. Soldiers drove them into combat and either shot arrows from chariots or leaped out to fight on the ground. Chariot battles. In the Battle of Kadesh between Egyptians and Hittites about 3,000 years ago, between 5,000 and 6,000 chariots were on the battlefield. 2,000 years ago, Julius Caesar wrote a book about between Roman and British soldiers. One of the British chariot horses could dash into battle at full speed, create confusion, and could stop its turn to a split second. As time passed, soldiers stopped using chariots. Improvement in bows and other weapons made fighting on horseback a better choice. The last chariot battle was in Scotland almost 2,000 years ago. Training war horses. In heat of the battle, soldiers couldn't take time to control their horses. Horses were perfectly trained to endure noise, fighting, and shouts. The object simply took a rein and changing position of the rider's leg and feet. Xenophon was a Greek soldier who lived 1,000 years ago. He wrote the first book. Training war horses. To teach them to jump over ditches, Xenophon suggested the trainer should show the ditch to the horse, and need to jump over it himself. When the horse learned to jump small ditches, the trainer was to take it over bigger jumps. He advised soldiers to play mock war games. Horses and ride and hunt were never possible. Bucephalus. 2,000 years ago, King Philip II ruled Macedonia. King Philip was a powerful king with a young son named Alexander. Famous writer Plutarch told that a horse seller could sell King Philip a splendid wild stallion. He was all black, silver white patch shaped like a star on his forehead. The horse was so fierce that no one could approach him. King Philip II refused to buy the animal. Alexander was about 12 at this time. However, he wanted to buy the horse, and was positive he could tame him. Philip II and his men laughed and made fun of the boy. Others saw that the horse was afraid of shadows. He nearly turned to face the sun. Another began to stroke and talk to him. In one skillful leap, the boy rounded into the horseback. Speaking gently to him, Alexander coaxed him into gallop. The man was the only person who could ever ride him. He was called the Bucephalus, which means ox head. Alexander became a great leader who conquered much of the known world. He and Bucephalus went through many bloody battles together. When his loyal horse died, Alexander was heartbroken and named the city Saharna. Knights and horses. The Middle Ages began in about 1,100 last until 14,050. During this time, kings ruled Europe. They were often at war with each other. Knights were warriors who fought for the king and got land and other favors for their loyalty. The king had to have a big, strong horse. He wore heavy armor that sometimes weighed over 100 pounds. He himself only weighed 40 pounds. And not fell from his horse, he had big trouble getting back up. The horse wore a padded cloth coat over his back and metal armor around his head, body, neck, and chest. Because the knight fought with his sword or lance in his hands, he guided the horse with pressure from his legs. The horse was trained to charge in battle and it would bite, kick, and trample down the enemy. The bond between the knight and his horse was powerful. The horse often stood guard for long periods over a knight lying round on the ground. In the late 13,000s, armies began to fight with cannons and other weapons. The days of the knights began to end. After the knights, for hundreds of years afterwards, soldiers still fought battles with horses. Early on, they fought with pistols and sabers instead of wood and heavy armor. Without some armor, soldiers could ride lighter, faster horses that could get off the battlefield quickly. Horses were heroes in the American and Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865. They carried officers into battles, delivered messages, and helped soldiers raid and spy on the enemy, or pulled supply wagons. By the time the war was over, 1,000,000 horses and mules had died. After World War II ended in 1980, trucks, jeeps, and tanks began to replace horses. Most soldiers died in the terrible war. 1,000,000 horses did as well. Though some horses were used in later wars, the military never ended them again in any great number. The days when brave horses and soldiers faced the enemy together had come to an end. Reckless. Reckless was a little mare in the Korean War in the 50s. A American officer brought her from a racetrack and carried guns for American soldiers fighting to North Koreans. The Marines trained Reckless to ignore the noise of guns and bombs. Reckless became part of the Marines' lives. She ate scrambled eggs and drank coffee with them in the morning. In 1953, there was a dreadful battle. Count again, please. Dreadful battle. Marines were trapped on a mountain and needed Reckless to help them keep the supplies of guns and bullets. They also needed her to carry around on dead soldiers down the mountain. One day Reckless walked over rice paddies and down the mountain over 51 times by herself. She carried a total of 5 tons of ammunition and covered 35 miles. Shells and bombs whizzed over her head, and she was slightly wounded twice. Even with hundreds of shells landing every minute, the horse never gave up. The war Reckless was honored and given the rank of sergeant. A famous magazine listed Reckless as one of the greatest heroes in the American history. So this might be the end because I read too much, right? Time is over. So maybe this bye. So see you next time.